Welcome to True Crime Naija, where we present to you true stories of crimes that happen in our country. We hope that by sharing these stories, we all become more aware of the types of crimes that happen here. And by becoming aware, we become smarter at detecting and hopefully preventing similar crimes. And as always, we welcome feedback. Reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp. Okay, let's get started. Today, we bring you the story of an actress who breaks out of jail. In Hadejia prison, Jigawa State, it's another morning. This morning may be the last day for those who are done serving their sentence. It may be the start for those who are just beginning their sentence.
And for others who are on death row, it may be their last morning on earth. A female prison warden is getting ready to carry out the routine morning roll call. Wearing her study boots and neatly ironed uniform, she begins walking from the first cell, calling the name of each prisoner and waiting for their response.
The warden moves briskly from cell to cell. She approaches the last cell.
Rabi Ismail,
She calls out. No response.
Rabi Ismail,
She calls out again. Silence.
The warden stops now. She quickly reaches for the master key and opens the cell door.
The cell is empty. There is no one on the bed and obviously no one under it. The walls are intact, so she knows the prisoner did not break through the walls. There is also no hole dug in the ground. The warden looks around and every other thing seems to be intact.
Then it hits her. She turns immediately. She's running towards her superiors to raise the alarm.
Rabi Ismail, the prisoner on death row, has escaped. Hi, I'm Anthonieta.
I'm Richard.
And I'm John.
And this story
This story
Could save
your life.
It's Christmas Day, the 25th of December 2002. Rahmat Muhammad, a taxi driver, is driving his car in Kano, the capital of Kano State. Work is a bit slow today because of the holidays, but he continues to drive around hoping he will get passengers. He drives along a road called Zoo Road, and just as he's about to enter a roundabout, he notices a lady flagging him to stop. He recognizes the lady almost immediately. Of course he knows her. Everyone does. She is Rabi Ismail.
Rabi Ismail is a 39-year-old light-skinned woman. She's a popular Kannywood actress who lives in Kano, although she is originally from Auchi in Edo State.
What's Kannywood?
Kannywood is the Hollywood version of the name for the Hausa film industry. Rabi has a bubbly and extroverted personality that made her popular. At the time, she has featured in at least 3 trending Kannywood movies, and she was even more popular than her counterparts. Ado immediately stops his car.
He must have been starstruck.
I'm sure he was. Rabi tells him that she needs his services and is willing to pay him 250 naira.
In 2004, that's a lot of money, right?
Yes, 250 naira was a lot of money, and she was going to be paying per hour. Ado jumps at the idea. First, they make a quick stop at a police station.
That's not good.
Well, not as bad as you might think. Rabi's boyfriend, Auwalu, also a fellow Kannywood actor, was arrested earlier that day by the police based on some traffic violation. So Rabi gets to the station and goes inside and bails him out. Their next stop, the house of one of Auwalu's friends. His name is Aminu.
Why didn't they just go to Auwalu's house?
I have no idea. But when they get to Aminu's house, Auwalu freshens up and changes his clothes. Remember that Ado, the taxi driver, is still with them. Ado even meets Aminu in the house.
Sounds like Ado is getting comfortable with his passengers.
Yes. And when they come out of the house, Auwalu asks Ado to take him and Rabi to Tiga Dam.
Tiga Dam is a big, beautiful reservoir in Kano State. It is this recreational place where people go sightseeing. When they finally reach the dam, Ado parks his car at the bank of the dam, close to a nearby tree. Auwalu and Rabia get out of the car and walk together towards the river, while Ado gets out and walks away a little to give them some privacy. From afar, he watches as the couple swim and play around in the water. They swim for a while and then start to head out of the water. He notices that Rabia gets out of the water first and she pushes Auwalu back inside.
They're acting so cute and in love.
At first, that's what Ado thought. He feels they were just fooling around, love. But then he sees Rabi pushing Auwalu back into the water for a second time as he tries to come out. Now he notices something about Auwalu. He's trembling and has a weird look on his face that shows he is no longer enjoying himself anymore. Coming out of the water, Auwalu tells his girlfriend that he's not feeling very well and that he's getting very cold.
Maybe it is the water,
Ado thought the same thing. So Rabi builds a fire for him, right there to keep him warm. Auwalu is looking weak and tired as he cozies up to the fire. A few moments later, Rabi walks up to Ado and tells him that they should leave the place, just the two of them, without Auwalu.
What? I don't understand.
Ado too is confused by this. He refuses to leave the boyfriend alone, stating that they all came together and they should all leave together. But then get this. Rabi asks Ado for battery acid. When he said he didn't have any battery acid, she then asked him for petrol.
Battery acid? Petrol? For what? Does she want to start another fire?
Who knows? At this point, Ado is just really confused and suspicious. So he refuses to give her all these things because he's scared that they will end up using them to attack him and steal his vehicle. So Rabi gives up and asks him to take them back into town.
Ado drives them out of Tiga Dam and makes his way to town. He makes a quick stop at a gas station. While refilling, he notices that Auwalu is a bit unconscious.
Wait, was he drunk or something?
Ado thought so too, and this made him worried. After paying for the fuel, he entered back into the car. And that's when Rabia tells him that she has forgotten her handbag at the dam and that they need to go back to get it.
My God, Ado must be frustrated.
Yes, he was also scared for his life. Things seemed off to him. Ado agrees to take her, but in his mind, he's planning not to come out from the car.
On their way to the dam, they met some people coming from the dam area. They asked the people if they saw any bag close to the dam, and all the people responded no. So they get to the dam and Ado stops his car at the place he parked earlier. Rabi gets out of the car and asks Ado to help the almost unconscious Auwalu out of the car. Ado helps Auwalu out of the car, but immediately gets back in the driver's seat, makes a U-turn and speeds away with his car.
Later that evening, Ado decides to clean his car. As he's cleaning the car, he finds a bag in the back seat. It is Rabi's bag.
Hold on. I thought he went to pick up a bag at the dam before he left them.
Remember that Rabi had asked them to go back to the dam so she could pick her bag. So if the bag had been in the car all along, why had she lied? What could she have been up to? As all these questions fill his head, Ado remembers something much more important.
He has not been paid for the ride, and by his estimates, he was with them for 8 hours. This means she owed him 2,000 naira.
He decides that the next morning, he would return the bag and ask for his money. The next morning, Ado contacts Rabi.
How did he reach her? Did he have a phone number?
We're not quite sure, but we know that the next day, December 26th, Ado meets up with Rabi. He hands her bag over to her and she examines the content. She tells him that everything is intact and he asks her for his fee. Rabi then tells him that Auwalu is going to pay him. At this point, Ado insists that she should go with him to see Auwalu. Rabi agrees and then takes him to Auwalu's house.
Wait, if she's the one who hired him, why is Auwalu paying?
Right, and that's probably why Ado insisted that she come along with him to Auwalu's house. At the house, they meet Umi, Auwalu's half-sister. Umi is a divorcee who has lived with Auwalu ever since her marriage ended. Umi tells them that Auwalu is not home and that he did not even sleep at home the previous night.
Ado loses his cool at this point and demands that Rabi pays him his money. After all, she was the one that hired his services and not Auwalu. Rabi takes him to a house along Ankura Road, off Zoo Road. When they get there, Rabi gives him 2,000 naira. Ado collects the money and zooms off. He's relieved. Hopefully, he and Rabi will never cross paths again.
Umi is going about her morning chores, but she's worried about Auwalu. She's wondering where he might be. Even his friends have come to the house to ask about him. There's a knock at the door. Umi goes to open the door. The person at the door is Rabi, but this time she's alone. Umi is eager to know her brother's whereabouts. Rabi assures her that he's hale and hearty, but that he has been busy with shooting a film on set. Rabi tells Umi that Auwalu has asked her to bring his video CD and television set. Umi is first reluctant to let Abi take the items, but Rabi shows her Auwalu's ID card, vehicle particulars and keys to his room to confirm that it is truly Auwalu who sent her. Umi is convinced and so she allows Rabi to take the items.
Some hours later, there is another knock at the door. Umi goes to open it. She's shocked to find Rabi standing at the door again. Rabi tells her that Auwalu has asked her to bring his CD recorder. Umi is not cooperating this time. She bluntly refuses. She says it is unheard of that a film director would detain an actor without allowing him to see his family members. Umi insists that Rabi should take her to the location where Auwalu is filming. Rabi tells her that would not be possible, but she would ask the film director to allow Auwalu to come back home since his family members are worried. Umi agrees to this.
But did she let Rabi take the CD recorder?
Nope. As far as Umi is concerned, the only person that will take any other item out of the house will have to be Auwalu himself.
Meanwhile, you remember that Auwalu's friend, Aminu, the one whose house they went to when they bailed Auwalu out of jail.
Yes, that was where Auwalu changed his clothes before they went to Tiga Dam.
Yes. So on the 26th, Aminu is on a motorcycle on his way somewhere when he notices Auwalu's car parked on the road and a roadside mechanic appears to be working on it. Aminu finds this odd because Auwalu would never give his car to roadside mechanics to repair. Aminu pulls over and tells the roadside mechanic to stop working on the car. He then goes to his friend's house to check on him.
For the third time today, Ummi gets up to open the door. On the other side is Aminu, her brother's friend. Aminu is looking for Auwalu. Ummi tells Aminu that she hasn't seen her brother since the previous day. Aminu continues searching for Auwalu throughout the 26th, but no luck. The next morning, on the 27th, he runs into Ado. He recognizes Ado as the driver who brought Auwalu to his house a few days back on the 25th.
Oh, he can finally get some answers about where Auwalu is.
That's what Aminu was thinking as well. He pleads with Ado to follow him to meet Auwalu's relatives, who were really worried about him. When they got to Auwalu's house, Ado tells Aminu and the family everything that happened at Tiga Dam.
Aminu, Ado, and Auwalu's family all troop into the Sabongeri Division police station, where a case of abduction was filed against Rabia Ismail. The police swing into action and promptly arrest Rabi. During questioning at the police station, Rabi claimed that when she got back into town that Christmas day, the 25th, she told a guy named Ibrahim Shuru that she had left Auwalu in the bush. The two of them then went back and found Auwalu there. According to her, Ibrahim carried Auwalu to an abandoned house and left him sleeping in the inner room of the house. Following this information, the DCP went with some police officers and searched every room in the abandoned house, but Auwalu was nowhere to be found.
So, where was Auwalu?
At that time, they didn't know, but they knew that Rabi was hiding something.
So the police continued their investigation into the mysterious disappearance of Auwalu. They left no stone unturned in their efforts to figure out how a grown-up adult could have suddenly disappeared on Christmas Day.
They soon located a guy named Yahya Usman. Remember that Rabi collected Auwalu's television and CD player from Umi, his sister.
That's right. That was before Umi demanded to see her brother.
Right. So Rabi ended up selling the TV and CD player, and Yahya Usman is the guy who bought them. The police also found a lady named Halima who bought Auwalu's Nokia phone, also sold to her by Rabi. Finally, the police found Adebayo Abdulkarim, and Rabi had sold Auwalu's car stereo and 2 speakers to him. The police confronted Rabi with this information.
And she broke down in tears. Rabi confessed that she had pushed Auwalu into the river.
At this point, the DPO and her officers took Rabi back to Tiga Dam. There, they saw the coal and other traces of the fire that Rabi made for Auwalu on Christmas Day. Rabi showed them the spot where she pushed Auwalu into the water.
About a kilometer from the river, the police found Auwalu's body. It was in an advanced state of decomposition.
After their investigation, the police charged Rabi Ismail, the movie superstar, with the offense of culpable homicide.
When the charge was read to her in court, she was asked to make a plea. She responded, "I understand the charge. I am not guilty."
At trial, Rabi changed her previous statement. She was the only witness for herself. She called no other person to testify in her defense. According to her, when Ado, the taxi driver, dropped them off at Tiga Dam and drove away, she and Auwalu decided to trek back to the main road. She says that they came across a motorcyclist and pleaded with him to carry them to the highway. The cyclist insisted that he could only carry one person at a time. So they all agreed that he would take her first, then come back for Auwalu. She says that when they got to the junction, the cyclist refused to go back to pick Auwalu. So she had no choice but to proceed to Kano, leaving Auwalu behind.
So did she produce the motorcyclist as her witness?
No, she didn't produce any other witnesses except herself. Now, for the prosecution to secure a conviction, they had to prove three things beyond reasonable doubt. They had to prove that Auwalu had died, that Auwalu's death was caused by Rabia, and finally, that the action or omission which caused Auwalu's death was intentional with knowledge that death or grievous bodily harm was a possible consequence.
So basically, that she knew what she did or didn't do would lead to his death.
Yes, but this was challenging to prove because there was no eyewitness to Auwalu's last hour on earth. At the trial, the prosecution called 9 witnesses to support its case against Rabia, including Ibrahim, Auwalu's sister, Muhammad, the taxi driver, Yahaya Usman, the man who bought Auwalu's properties from Rabia, Sergeant David Watsav, an investigator with CID. He was the officer that found the decomposing body in the water.
On December 5th of 2004, Justice Haliru found Rabia Ismail guilty of murder and sentenced her to death by hanging.
On January 17, 2005, Rabia appealed against the judgment of the High Court of Kano, but the appeal court upheld the judgment of the High Court.
Next, she went to the Supreme Court, which is the highest court. But on the 8th of July 2011, the Supreme Court dismissed the appeal for lack of merit and upheld the decisions of the lower courts.
After her appeal was dismissed by the Supreme Court, Rabia was moved from Kaduna Central Prison to Hadejia Prison in Jigawa State to await her death sentence.
5 months later, on the morning of the 16th of December 2011, the warden finds an empty cell. Rabia has mysteriously disappeared.
How does an inmate disappear just like that?
Well, as far as we know, one day she was there and next day she wasn't. The Jigawa State Controller of Prisons said that because she escaped without breaking a wall or digging a hole, he knew she must have had some help from someone internal.
That's right. Someone must have let her go.
Exactly. The 6 prison wardens who were on duty when she went missing were immediately summoned for interrogation. According to Blueprint newspaper, some of them were demoted, while others were transferred to other prisons as punishment.
But days became months, and months became years, and Rabia was still missing. It really started to feel like she disappeared.
Then 6 years later, in 2017, she was found. Rabia had been hiding in the country all this time, but in 2017, she decided it was finally time to leave in order to gain some level of freedom.
So she got her travel papers and was set for her trip. She planned to cross through the Lagos-Benin border.
At the border, Rabia was arrested by officers of the Department of State Services.
Wow. Do we know where she was planning to travel to?
No, but it certainly wasn't back to her cell at prison.
I don't understand all this. Why did she do it?
Honestly, this is what got us confused too. It's not really clear what her motive was.
Was it for money?
Well, we know she started selling his belongings. She sold his TV set for 8,000 naira, the CD player for 4,000, the Nokia phone for 1,000.
That's not really a lot of money.
Back in 2002, it was, but
Still not enough to kill someone. No amount of money is enough to kill anyone really.
But that friend who noticed Auwalu's car.
Aminu.
Yes, Aminu. It's good he was paying attention and he followed up quickly. I think that was what helped them find Auwalu's body fast.
True. Join us next week for another True Crime Naija story. This time, it's the story of a woman who was beaten to death. True Crime Naija is a Triple E Media production. Copyright 2021 Triple E Media Productions. If you enjoyed this episode of True Crime Naija and want to hear more, subscribe to our 234 Audio YouTube channel. Episodes of this podcast and our other podcasts can also be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe and leave us a review. This episode was produced by Anthonieta Kalunta, John Iwodi, Richard Anyebe, Dominic Tabakaji, and Sam Tabakaji. Executive producer Rahmat Muhammad. Special thanks to Rabia Hadejia, Aredi Isha, and Mala Iwa Gbado Ikaleku. Stay alert, stay alive. See you next week.